last week on Behind the Gate. It was title time for Tim Geiser, 5th place in race 1 in Imola, enough to sew up the MXGP championship, sparking emotional scenes with his HRC teammates. The civilian now with 3 world titles to his name. Jeremy Seewer was on the second step of the box for the first time in his career, moving the Swiss rider ever closer to second in the championship. While Glenn Coldenhoff produced a maiden 1-1 of his career to bag a first GP win since 2015. Meanwhile, Jorge Prado was as imperious as ever. A 12th clean sweep of 2019 for the Spaniard, leaving him on the cusp of a second successive MX2 title. TKO losing ground again in second place, while there was a career first visit to the podium for Maxime Renault. We're now in Uddevalla for the 16th round of the FIM Motocross World Championship season. Back on the calendar after a 1-year hiatus, a venue whose championship history dates all the way back to 1958. Seewer and Yamaha teammate Roman Fevro with great records here, but will have to get past Geiser, who emerged victorious last time MXGP came to town. Jeffrey Hurlings will also be in the mix on his latest return from injury. Just a 3rd place finish in race 1 will be enough for Prado to clinch the title in MX2, given that he's won 26 of 28 races he's entered this season and came second in the other 2. The odds are very much against the 18-year-old being stretched to a second race. Stay tuned to see how he gets on at the MXGP of Sweden.
Roman Fevro takes us for a lap around Uddevalla, slightly downhill entry into turn 1, immediately over the foxhole shot line, mid-turn, falling away on the exit, and then stepping up into turn 2. You've got that single to the inside, or you can rail the outside here. Dropping away through the dip for the second time, and then up in front of the main spectator area onto a small plateau, and then over the first of several jumps around this racetrack. Small wall jump here takes us down further into a single and then into a 180 left turn, slightly banked to the outside. Small jump, used to be a double there actually, but a single jump this time around into this right-hander, over the Monster Energy tabletop, and then dropping into turn 6, this Talladega style banked left-hander. The uphill wave section caused 1 or 2 problems early on because it was wet and sticky, but expect that to be okay for race day. Slow, tight right, drops downhill into a tight left. Again, you can utilize the bank around the outside. Short little jump, and then the uphill climb into the 24 meter long iPhone tabletop jump. Brings us to the top end of the circuit, opposite the start. Tight right over the second of the Monster Energy tabletops, plunges downhill, and then up into this left-hander. Small jump on the exit, takes us into this tight right-hander. Second gear, third gear, stepping up onto the plateau, and then into this small double, landing here into the penultimate corner on the racetrack. Get on the gas, another gear change over the city tabletop jump, and then starting to fall away here, dropping downhill for the final time. This is the final corner. Then we hit the Monster Energy finish line jump here. And when we land, it's down past pit lane into the final two corners, a 90 left, 90 right, back onto the start straight to start another lap.
This weekend in Sweden is the final round of the EMX 125 Championship presented by FMF. And we've taken the opportunity to catch up with some of the leading lights from 2019.
I came from last year from the 85s to the 125 and then get a deal with the Husqvarna factory team. Yeah, that was pretty nice, and the season is going quite well. Just find my place, and it's going well. The feeling with the bike was really good, and we tested a lot. We got like big improvements. We went way better with the exhaust and a lot more power. Volkswagen with a good first moto, and then in the second moto leads the whole race till 2 laps before the end, and then Guillaume passed me. Yeah, that was a pretty good race in front of my home crowd, and the rest of the season got some up and downs, but we stayed quite consistent, and I'm pretty happy with the results I did.
Yeah, this year I ride with the 250 on the French Championship and I finished third. Yeah, I like the 250 KTM was so very good bike. This season was good. Difficult to start of the first season, and yeah, now it's better. Yeah, the plan for the next year it's stay on this team and ride with the 250 on the EMX and a little bit MX2 races, and yeah, I try to work hard this winter.
Yeah, of course, the title will be decided here at the final round of the European Championship. So, yeah, I'm pretty calm. I'm the leader of the championship, and I won the first 3 races of the championship. Then I make some 2 second place and 5th place. So it was consistent here.
My favorite race this year it's Saint-Jean-d'Angély, I think, because the whole purpose is here for me, and yeah, the track was so beautiful this year. It's my best result this year, and yeah, I'm so really happy about that.
Arco, yeah, that was just so nice. I can't describe how that feeling was. It was just everything clicked that weekend, and yeah, just a perfect weekend. 4-4 and 3rd overall.
My favorite race from this year was Arco di Trento, of course, because it was in Italy in front of the home crowd. I won the 2 motos, so I was really happy with that.
As the gate dropped in MX2 Race 1, all eyes were on Jorge Prado as he went for his 2nd MX2 World Crown, but it was his teammate Tom Vial who grabbed the Fox Hole Shot for the 6th time this season. Prado was quickly into lead though. Vial 2nd, Jacoby 3rd, Walsh 4th as he edged out Verlandren. Walsh was having a great time, so too was Darian Sinai on the Kawasaki, but then he lost the front end. Verlandren was back ahead, and then the Honda rider went after Dylan Walsh, and this pass put Verlandren into 4th. Jorgo Geerts and Thomas Kjær Olsen didn't make great starts, but it was Jorgo Geerts who was on the move first. He nudged aside Ika Larinaga as he edged on the top 10. Adam Sterry was having a fantastic ride though on the 811. He wasn't the only one to find his way past Dylan Walsh. Maxime Renault soon followed suit. The Yamaha rider latching on to the Kawasaki rider. Jago Kietz then fell from 13th. He remounted and would fall again later in the race. He would finish the race in 14th place. Darren Sinai was on the ropes in the latter stages, but he did regroup and come home in 9th place. But Olsen eventually found his way into 8th by the end of the race. Not what the Dane wanted at all. Along the way, he found his way past Dylan Walsh. Walsh came home in 10th position, but Henry Jacobi for F&H Racing Kawasaki rode a solid race to come home in 3rd. A little bit further up the track, the Red Bull KTM of Tom Vial, who did a great job of keeping his teammate honest, the number 61 of Jorge Prado, and it was Jorge Prado who crossed the line for race win number 27, and guess what? That was enough for the Spaniard to clinch his second MX2 world title. Of course, the celebrations began, and that was it. The MX2 title wrapped up here, race 1 in Sweden. With the title wrapped up, there was almost an air of relief around the Red Bull KTM camp, but it was once again Tom Vial who grabbed his 7th foxhole shot of the season. But it was Darren Sinai who quickly made his way into the lead. Adam Sterry got himself into 2nd, Vial was into 3rd, but he was on a charge. And soon enough, it was Vial who took over the lead from the American Sinai. All of this before the end of the first lap. Sterry was slotted neatly behind in 3rd place. Prado was in 4th. But not for long, because towards the end of the opening lap, as Sterry found his way into 2nd, Prado fell, picked himself up in 8th place, and he had no clutch for the entire race. Calvin Verlanderen was on a mission. The Honda rider made this move on Sinai, and that put the number 10 into 4. Shortly after that, Jacobi retired from the race, so then Verlanderen was in 3rd position. It did not look good for the German. Brian Moreau fell. What was a tough weekend for the Bud Racing Kawasaki rider. Jorge Prado, though, despite riding clutchless, latched onto the back of Dylan Walsh. This pass put Prado into 5th position. He then went after Sinai, and as soon as Prado found his way past the American, the 57 started to drop backwards. Adam Sterry was in 2nd, and then he's tipped over. That allowed Verlanderen into 2nd position. There was more misery for Sinai. An aggressive pass by Dylan Walsh meant that he lost more places than the one that Dylan Walsh took over. Top left corner of your screen, that was the moment that Tom Vial fell from the lead with 6 laps to go. Verlanderen went on to win for the first time this year, his 3rd race win in MX2. Vial was 2nd, Sterry was 3rd, but that 2-2 for Tom Vial meant that the young French rider won his first Grand Prix victory in MX2 22 years and 1 week after his dad Frédéric's last Grand Prix victory on the 17th of August 1997 in Belgium. Verlanderen 2nd, Prado 3rd, and Vial now just 7 points off of Kietz in 4th in the championship. But congratulations Jorge Prado and Red Bull KTM.
When we started this in the GP, we were supposed to do the MX 250 class, European, but then, you know, we look at the riders and then we find the riders like Kevin and Seva, and suddenly we had it, yeah, why don't we go for MXGP team? I mean, it's a dream come true. What can go wrong? We just do it. I think I'm a little too nice because I do this with my heart, not like I run my other company, because that guy you don't want to have here.
All my family and friends are going to be here, and it's such a nice feeling to race in front of your home crowd, and this is a place I know quite well. I rode a Swedish championship here when I rode 85, so I won both motos, and I feel good on this place.
My story of coming into motocross was very fun for me actually. They explained me where the throttle is, but it didn't tell me where the brakes are. One of a sudden he said me to open a little bit more throttle. So I just went on my own, and then I saw a big hole, but I didn't know where the brakes are, so I fell into that.
The most of the difference between MX2 and MXGP is all the guys are so fast. It's like everybody's consistent and everybody rides so fast, and yeah, in the MX2 it's a little bit more difference on speed. I think it's a little bit more gap between the guys, and in MXGP it's so close all the time, and everybody's just pushing all the race.
Yeah, I have the same age as Tony, just, you know, he had 9 world titles, I have none. I had a lot more injuries. It sucks, you know, but then in the beginning it's hard, but then after a few weeks, you know, when things goes better again, then you find again your passion to ride or to run or to cycle, and then you can't wait to jump on the bike again.
I've been to the podium, and I know what it takes, and I know I have it because I've been after already a few times very close to it, and it just kind of didn't come all together to make it happen. Main struggle for me was not to just jump on a 450, but come back from the 2 really huge injuries I had in the past 2 years and put myself in a position when I can battle with the top guys again and build up the confidence, and that was the main goal this year.
It's always good to be back in the Belgium team, you know. It's the biggest race actually of the year, and always looking forward to it. I think we still have a good team for the podium. Maybe I'm not the fastest rider anymore. I can still ride good in a sense. We have a good team, and hopefully we will be on the podium.
Definitely excited. You know, it's been a while since I've been racing, like 2 months back in Latvia. So we've only spent a few days on the bike, so we're literally gonna see it as a practice. And yeah, whatever the result may be, you know, we don't really mind about the result right now. We just took all that as a practice, and we'll do the best as we can. Obviously, that's the reason I'm here. You know, we still want to shine at the nation, so we just take this as a practice, as I said, because I'm only just back on the bike, and you know, try to get endurance back at it. I haven't even done 2 35-minute motos so far, so for now we just take it as a practice weekend and try to build up and be as good as possible in Assen in about a month's time from now.
After winning the qualifying race on Saturday, all eyes were on the returning Jeffrey Hurlings. And guess what? He did not disappoint. He crossed the foxhole shot line for the 2nd time this season. On board here with the GoPro, Gauthier Paulin up the inside of Jeremy Seewer. Seewer then tagged the rear wheel of the Frenchman and went down in turn 2. As seen here as well by Seba Brilikov. The opening stages of the race saw Hurlings lead the way, but everyone that needed to be up front was well placed. Round the outside of Koldenhoff was Tim Geiser into 2nd. Koldenhoff was into 3rd. Jeffrey Hurlings tried to make a break for it. Roman Fevre and Pauls Jonas weren't too far behind either, in what was turning out to be an exciting start to MXGP Race 1, and then Geiser fell from 2nd, handing the advantage to Koldenhoff and Fevre. The boys in red were not amused. Midpoint of the race, Jeffrey Hurlings came under threat from Glenn Koldenhoff. The 2:59 on the standing construct KTM, fresh off of his double moto win in Italy, was in the mood for picking up more wins. Geiser had to tame his beast of a machine as he tried to keep the front men in check. Anton Gohl on the JWR Yamaha was having a fantastic ride, but then Herlings hit a wall. The arms started to pump up. Koldenhoff was through, and Fevre was waiting for his turn as well, as he looked to move from third to second. And no sooner had the Yamaha found his way past the KTM, the Honda and the Husqvarna of Geiser and Jonas were also past the Bullet, who now sat in 5th place. Gauthier Paulin stalled his motor, but he would redeem himself with the 6th, partly because of this. Herlings crashed, took out Jonas inadvertently, radiator fluid spilling out of the side of that Monster Energy Wilvo Yamaha. Herlings would retire, Jonas would come home in 12th. But on the final lap, Roman Fevre closed in on Koldenhoff as they battled over the lead. It was close, just over a second, but it was Koldenhoff who went on to win his 3rd race of the season. Gauthier Paulin got a great jump out of the start, but it was only good enough for 9th by the time he ended the first lap. Roman Fevre grabbed the 3rd foxhole shot of the year though, as he led Tim Geiser and Jeremy Seewer around the first few corners. Another good start for the 41 of Paul Jonas and the number 4 of Arno Tonas. The track by now rugged, hard, loose, slick. 100% concentration needed at all times, but the winner from race 1, Glenn Koldenhoff, was lurking right at the back there in around 7th, 8th position towards the end of the first lap. Jeremy Seewer felt the wrath of the number 41 of Paul Jonas as he carved his way up into 4th place, with all eyes on this battle at the front of the field between Fevre and Geiser. Jeremy Van Hoorbeek didn't make a great start. He was outside of the top 10, but wasted no time finding his way past Gauthier Paulin, and soon after that, Tommy Searle, as he got himself into 8th place. Koldenhoff made his move on Seewer. That put him up into 5th position, just after the halfway mark. All of a sudden, a podium was looking good for the winner of the Italian Grand Prix at Imola. This was Jeremy Van Hoorbeek going past Tommy Searle as he moved into 8th place. Jeffrey Herlings was having a lonely ride, but he eventually made his way up into 4th. Tim Geiser was threatening Roman Fevre, and with 5 laps to go, the world champion was through and into the lead. And it would get worse for Fevre. A freak accident here launched the Yamaha man off the side of the track. Fevre would not rejoin the race because of a suspected leg injury. Kevin Strybos was the most innovative rider on the day. That pass on Tommy Searle put him up into 9th place. Herlings eventually found his way past Seewer to take 4th. Tim Geiser, though, was up front. Koldenhoff made a decisive pass on Jonas on the final lap. And despite Geiser taking his 16th race win of the season, Koldenhoff came home 2nd ahead of Jonas to secure back-to-back Grand Prix victories here in Sweden. A week ago it was Italy, now here for Koldenhoff on the top step of the podium once again. They were joined by Paul Jonas for the 2nd time on the podium this year on his Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. Of course, Geiser world champion, Seewer 2nd, Paulin 3rd. Koldenhoff now to 4th at the expense of Tonas, who now drops to 5th. And that was the MXGP of Sweden here. Congratulations to Glenn Koldenhoff and standing construct KTM on the top step once again in MXGP. The championship will now take a 1-week break, but we will be back in 2 weeks' time for the MXGP of Turkey in Afyon.
We all all saw it coming. Jorge Prado delivered his second consecutive MX2 world title here in Sweden. Jorge, do you have a message for all your fans?
Yes, I have. I just want to say thank you to all of them for the support at the races and also social media. You know, this win also is for them. Thank you very much.